So,
I think so.
Have your attention, please call this the March 15th Town of Tryon work session to order. Thank you.
so we have this obviously, but the first item, unless you want to change it, we were gonna go outside and the fire department was gonna show you the vehicle and what it does, but if you wanna move that around.
I don't know if folks are gonna stay till the meeting starts. You know,
Yeah, we're staying.
One thing for the second, but it's for us to look at that.
That's fine.
Yeah, if we wanna just get up and go real quick, you know, you guys mind taking them out there and showing them what they get?
Yeah, that's right here on the side of the building.
Yeah. If any of y'all wanna go too, it's,
I mean, making a trade with Columbus on a better piece of equipment.
yeah.
Good.
So we're trading the service truck, which is generically for wrecks. It's literally just, a big truck with a big, it's like a big box truck that you put all your wreck stuff on it. We never had the need for it anyway. I don't know why it was purchased. We've taken all that equipment off and spread them amongst the other vehicles so that we have all the same equipment. We can still do the same stuff, but now we're trading it for a mini pumper, which is a smaller, it's more like a brush truck, except it holds more water, and it's built with a pump so that you can pull it into a tight driveway, which we have a lot of in Tryon.
Nice. Yeah,
You can
smart.
hook a hydrant straight to it, and that way it acts just like a regular engine would to fight a fire,
Nice.
except it can get in places that big engines can't. So, I'm gonna go look at it too. I guess we'll be back in just a second.
Hi, John.
I like your book, Margaret.
It's actually really interesting.
Yeah, what it really is.
It's taken me a very long time to get through. Yeah, the first half was very boring, and now it's very interesting.
It certainly is.
The market is the invisible hand of God.
I knew that. It's called prosperity by itself.
And free trade is God's will, because He created like the planet to have different resources in different places, so that people could trade freely, and that would create trust. It's all God's.
It always starts that.
What?
It was always God, it's how He made the world. It's like the same numbers, like controllers. Okay, not with that one.
Anyway, just talking about the book.
The thing was, is that in early Christianity, it was no private property. It was sharing.
Yeah,
There was no capitalism involved.
right.
Socialism, really. But anyway,
No.
But
No,
then they
and
really
what's-
gotta help people.
What is interesting to watch is how Christianity itself changed as America became more industrialized and more prosperous. That and like the economics of those changes changed the religion to justify that, you know, like, yeah,
Sure,
not the other way around.
sure.
Right? Yeah, it's.
Religion is always a tool of the state.
I didn't realize how it was extremely, I mean, I should have realized it because of the witch trials and everything, but just how crazy the Puritans and the Calvinists were. Like, I didn't, like, they believed that all humans were utterly depraved,
Right.
that it was like Westboro Baptist, that God hated us.
With Bob Jones.
That God hated all of us because we were depraved. And there was nothing we could do to redeem ourselves. He either chose to save us or not, and there was absolutely nothing we could do about it. So if you couldn't do good works, you couldn't, your behavior meant nothing.
What happened to the gospel of Jesus?
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. But that, like, that was the law, you know, that was the mindset
Yeah.
in England too.
Yeah,
You know, for a long time.
well, that's why they booted them out.
Yeah, yeah,
They came here
after Cromwell.
and they're stuck here.
Expect that, you know, for it to be completed.
And everything was predestined. So your salvation was predestined before God had even created the earth.
No, that was the big issue in life. It was Calvinism versus free will.
Ah, I bet, so I bet you're really versed in it. Yeah.
Forgot a lot, but.
But you could see it, like in the witch trials, you know, so you would have the trial by water. So they would take the woman, and if she drowned, she was innocent.
Right.
If she floated, she was a witch. So you're doomed either way.
Yeah.
And like that was the religious tenet, was that we were utterly depraved in the eyes of the Lord, and he hated us. And the only thing we could do was glorify him. We couldn't earn his love, but we could glorify him. Yeah, I didn't realize it was.
It's still here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll need to add TFAT to the agenda, a little art gallery.
He's on.
There you go.
Warm up. Anything else you got, Zach?
No, sir, I don't have anything other than for the,
Rep, start with you.
We got a letter from Mr. Riley. Right
We did.
here.
Yeah, with the bathroom blueprints kind of on.
Yeah, he had that design truck there around Side Street. We get property from the boroughs that would mean building a new building. I think it's a great idea. I think we have to,
It's kind of out of our budget.
yeah. Still, have we done anything about,
We've got base costs, we gotta get with Dean to draw something and get, and then try to, but,
we still have the other option, maybe?
yeah, how's that working with John?
Viable?
yeah, so I spoke with, John Varner, which is the new owner of the old Owens Pharmacy building. He was concerned about public restrooms in with the retail space up top, but he is considering putting together some, proposals for us to use what used to be the Blue Ridge Parkway as public restrooms. So
The first,
the first one on the right, we got the curb as close to ADA as possible. When we got rid of the steps, but it's better than steps.
isn't there a bathroom already in there?
There is, we would probably do a little bit of work to it. The goal originally, we'll see if we can still make it happen, but to have a small sitting area, a TV that runs 24/7 with a loop of a try-on advertisement, gig, and then the two family-friendly restrooms.
Well, that seems like great situation if we, like cost wise and everything.
So we'll see what he comes up with. I told him to come up with different options. Since he's already gonna be in there doing the construction work for the building, it could possibly be fairly cheap compared to other aspects.
Amenable to us maybe putting some rails.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it would be. Yeah, he's pretty open to a lot of that.
And TDA is looking, or TP is looking at ratings. Right there, you have to have crash ratings.
Anything else somebody can do?
Yeah, we're looking into it.
Okay.
The thing I wanted to talk about was, restrooms and maybe discuss the park.
Sure.
And I was telling Alan earlier, I went up, rode through Galax, where to be very honest, if I was living on Galax, I would be very upset about it. Because I know that the land was given, but if two people were visiting the park, then if you got a problem, that's just mine. I wish we could find a better spot.
I hadn't been up there, but I know that, you know, some of the citizens are not overly
Well,
thrilled.
I think.
They don't mind the park, they just think a place where people, you know, we have a parking lot just 100 yards, 50 yards from there. Can it go in that area?
I told everybody that's asked, when the man donated the property, he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I would put Harriet's garden there. Small flowers, gazebo, a couple of parking spaces. That was it, its entirety. I've had that drawn up. It looks exactly like I said it would back in October, when my daughter came up. I've not made any changes, any additions, deletions, just what I proposed.
I can admit, Alan, I didn't realize the entrance would be there. I wasn't sure where.
Yeah, I originally thought it was on your, bottom of your hill on your property. I mean, I've never been out there and I was never told where, until day 40. First time I came across where it's going. Well, I mean, I don't know what to do.
Well, I think before we do make any decision, it probably needs to look at where it's going. You know, it just behoove us all to take a, right out there, take a look. She's neutral.
She's what?
Neutral.
Right, that's, as I said, entirely up to the board. I had made what I thought was, in good faith offer to the town in honor of my wife and Bob Brown. He donated it, and that's what I told him I would do with it. Now, that's gonna be up to the full review.
I know it was no offense to you or Harry. So I'm just putting myself in the position of somebody living on that site. Until everybody has a chance to take a look at it, I don't think anything should be decided.
I mean, do we need to have parking up there? Can the parking be down in the lower lot and there's a walking path up to it?
There is a walking path drawn to reach there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
The money I was donating was not enough to clear a path also. This week I talked to Lonzo, what's her name? Esther.
Yes.
Esther says that she has those kids from, was it Valdosta University? They came out to help at Harmon Field, and they will come up and help cut a path from up there to down to the regular park and the lower park.
I could see that a little bit more if that was identified as the park entrance down in Woodland Park, not at Gateway. And they walked up to it.
Just, we just need to have a plate and have a place there. But I think Zach's already asked that it be surveyed just to make sure we know what we own.
Well, if he's gonna, Bob's still gonna let us have it regardless, we need to have it surveyed anyway. If it's a condition that that park goes there, then we need to wait.
Are we allowed to speak in this meeting?
Sure.
Does the town own this, or does the previous owner still own it?
The town owns it.
The
At
town
this
does
point, he
own it?
donated it, and we've signed, and the deed is filed, it was done at the end of September, 1st of October,
Yeah.
in that
October
ballpark.
1st.
Okay. It's still zoned as a residential lot.
Parks are allowed in R4.
Parks are allowed in R4.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that he did tell me he couldn't make up his mind, and I don't know if he told you that same thing, Mark. He was deciding whether to sell it or donate it. And I felt like the fact that I was going to convert it to a park was the reason that he decided to donate it to the town.
Mhm.
That's what I felt like.
What would happen if if you didn't donate it as a park or, couldn't convert it into a park?
I guess he could have sold it to anybody. Did he not buy that to protect anybody from building there?
Right.
He bought it to protect.
Originally, what was that, 20 years ago?
Right.
I don't know how long, but he bought that probably 20 years ago. He lived on the street I live on.
Mhm.
And I started talking with him 2 or 3 years ago. He came back in September, met with Mark, because I'd already talked to him about 3 years ago about donating that. And I think he told Mark he was considering donating or selling. Mark contacted me, and then I went over to visit man 2 or 3 times, and he ended up donating the land. And we had to fast track it because he was going out of town, I believe on a Sunday or a Monday, and he wanted that closed and done before he left. I mean, that's the whole thing in a small nutshell of how it transpired.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is there a master plan for Woodland Park? I know that there's been some talk about incorporating other land that would go up to Melrose. And I'm wondering, to my mind, a gazebo in that area doesn't jive with what Woodland Park is about, which is a woodland naturalized area. I don't understand why the gazebo, like, we all want to honor Harriet, nobody has an issue with that. But like sunflowers, which aren't going to grow there, because they don't grow on the edge of a forest, they actually really, really need a lot of sun. Like, I keep thinking, why can't we have a gazebo with lots of sunflowers in Harmon Field, where everybody's going to be anyway, and they walk by and they think of Harriet and they see it, and like, it would be for everyone's enjoyment. This, Galax is, nobody even knows Galax exists. It's going to adversely impact the people who live on Galax. It's going to be very intrusive to the sense of privacy and that my neighbors, the Baileys and Mark Holland, have enjoyed, basically having their backyard. And I think to appreciate what I'm talking about, everybody does need to go and see just how intrusive this is going to be. It is in their backyard. And I just think there could be a better place where we could honor your intention, have the gazebo, have the sunflowers, which we all know she loved. And I just don't see it in that spot.
okay, to start answering the question, yes, ma'am.
Everyone, please say her name before you speak.
Margaret Curtis.
Charles.
To tie back in what you asked about a master plan, I don't think there's anything wrong.
Okay.
There's a gentleman, I can't even think of his name there, the council was torn down on that.
Right.
He has said he's going to donate that land. He is not in good health, and the latest word I got is that he is planning to leave that and let his daughter take care of all the papers. If that is done, that will go back from there, it'll end up in Woodland Park, vice versa. The land on the side of that creek, all of it, I think, is owned by 3 people. The man who's going to donate it, Bill McCall, and me. And we've all said that we'll be willing to either sell or give a 99-year right of way to do that, to get a park there, to walk through. That was part of it. The idea of putting the little park there, besides, I promised him and I tried to do it, was if you left Woodland Park, there would be a road or a walkway. X feet wide, and would go up to where the Woodland Park is. And from that Woodland Park up to where I would just call it Harriet's Garden, to there. On the other end, there's another gentleman that owns property, and he wants to donate half of that to the town, and Zach is working with that. So if one fell swoop, we could get probably an acre and a half total, maybe more than that, to add to Woodland Park, because it is contiguous. And that's the whole thing there. The gentleman that I had come up to draw the rough outline is a professional landscape architect. He's the one that did, Zach, what was the thing I showed you
The gardens at UNC.
in UNC Charlotte?
Yeah, UNC
Yeah.
Charlotte.
So he's the guy I had up looking at it, and that's what he thought would fit there, and where he thought things would go. So that is everything that I've said, everything that I've done, and there it is.
Was Mr. Brown wanting to donate this piece of property to add to Woodland Park, and you told him that you had an idea what you wanted to do with it?
I think he asked what would we do with it, and I said it would become part of Woodland Park, and I'd like to put Harriet's Garden there. I don't remember which order that was, because we met several times. I just know that after I told him I'd be willing to put Harriet's Garden there, that the next day, we were offered the land. So, you'd have to ask him.
First off, I want to sincerely apologize to you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mark Holland. For my outburst with you a couple weeks ago, I'm very ashamed. But the reason, I'm not condoning my behavior at all. And what I said was.
Mark, let me say this, you can stop there. It's in the past, and the past is dead, okay?
Thank
I
you.
waved at you, you waved at me today.
But I did call Bob Brown and he came out. I'm not sure what you all talked about. And like we said, I'm all for a memorial garden for heritage. But y'all need to come back behind my house and see where that lot line is, because it's only 30 feet from my house. So that means there's gonna be strangers, and I have a small business in Saluda, and I'm there 4 days a week. So if somebody's coming through my backyard when I'm not there, I was disconcerting. If you say, for instance, you put the gazebo there at the end of Kaylax with a path that connects to Woodland Park. But I ask that y'all consider that that park doesn't go farther into Jeffrey Bailey's yard and my yard, because really that space, that strip of land is only about 15 feet. That flat area, which I've taken care of, I've taken out bamboo, I'm trying to save those 200-year-old trees. If I don't stay on top of that, whole area will be a bamboo jungle, because we know how it grows. And I'm all for being on a committee to investigate improving Woodland Park. I would love to do that. But having the gazebo there just at Galax, but not coming farther in, there's other reasons as well, because that area in the summer is totally shade. You can't see it in the winter because of the leaves and all the trees, but in the summer, it's hard to grow anything. Plus, the wildlife eats my camellias, any flowers, anything I have, it's gone. And I'm just wondering, in the state of North Carolina, isn't there some ordinances that say that if there's a park that abuts a private property, that there should be an easement? Because it would be right on, I mean, y'all, I really want you to come out and see where that is, because on the architectural drawing, the scale is high. It looks like a big area, but it's not a big area. And I just feel that I would like to be involved in the decision making, all of us would be, because we care for this town. I'm on the board of directors of Triumph Swim Club. I've served on the board of directors of Arts, Upstairs Art Space, and I consider this my forever home. And I've always appreciated you at home. But I mean, this time, I asked anybody here, would you like that in your backyard? I know it's town property, and I'm glad I got maybe overture to Bob Brown to donate it, but can't we come to a solution that works for everybody? That's, that honors our privacy and our peace of mind in the neighborhood. Already Lynn Court is a very busy court. Everybody comes around Lynn Court to see the houses. And now we're gonna have more activity. I'm all for the park, honestly, but it's right in my backyard. It's literally in my backyard. It's 30 feet from my property. I just want y'all to consider it.
Do you have a problem with just the gazebo or a hiking trail? Because,
Well, in the plan, it's all that strip there that runs behind Jeffrey Bailey's, part of Margaret's, Jeffrey Bailey, and my house. And it's 30 feet from my house.
yeah, I've hiked it. That's
But
part
you're
of,
not,
Tryon Wilderness Trail, and it just, you go by the church behind and come down the sewer line, Woodland Park. We do it all the time.
Right, our kids used to hike through there all the time as well, and the trail that you hike, if you leave the house that's been knocked down on Melrose, you come down onto the bottom, there's a small sewage easement at the top, which is this area. And it's a sewage easement that has spills all the time. And there's a big sewage easement with manholes and all that at the bottom. You can see it in the photo, the aerial photo. And that's where you hike. And I think that if there's a trail placed on this donated property, which again, I don't know, I wasn't privy to the conversation, but it's a piece of property that was donated to the town, to the whole town. And there is a broad trail that's already there on the bottom of this property that's easily accessible from a larger parking lot that's underutilized, that would have more people if we put a structure there, maybe not a gazebo, but a picnic shelter, or we could put a rain shelter if you're hiking in one of the loops in the middle of the summer, on the far end, and the rain comes down, there's no shelter, and there's no overlook, so there are all kinds of amenities that could be put into the park, that could be accessible from the parking area, that could be on a trail that would ultimately lead to that expansion area. And that's where that should all go. This is a dead end. You go along this little trail from the tip of Galax, and you run into bamboo and on ahead of you, and a cliff, basically, on the side. I suppose somebody could do a trail there. It'll be a dangerous trail. It'll be unlike any of the trails that are there now. It'll be like a switchback, like you see at Machu Picchu or something. It's a steep slope. And the one that people hike is below, also on this property, accessible from existing parking.
I need to go walk it again. I wasn't looking for all this last time, but I came out on Galax. One trip.
If that was before the bamboo, maybe if you cut all the bamboo, you could get around there somehow. Maybe up behind the house that's on the end of the street with the hammock's built.
Before we make any decisions, I feel like everybody should
Go see it.
go see it.
I agree.
Yeah, and grab a neighbor or somebody and have them show you around.
My sense, and I've lived there, I don't walk on that sewage easement because it's uncomfortable to me to be in Marla's backyard without her permission, to be in Mark's backyard without his permission. It is that intimate.
We've
And I
been there
don't
11
think-
years.
I
had never gone back there
Yeah,
until this,
because I feel like I'm
until I
invading.
got this map, because I felt like I was trespassing.
And you get no sense of that from the drawing or even an overhead, but I guarantee you walk out there, you're gonna feel like you're invading somebody's, privacy.
I mean, I've walked that trail dozens of
Go do
times,
it,
and
but-
it just feels like you're walking in Woodland Park.
But
It
you're
cuts you
not
on both
walking that
sides of
trail,
it.
you're not walking the trail into their backyard.
That
That's
trail's-
not a trail.
And, I mean, I think everybody here is 100% in favor of both of the things we're talking about. Something to honor Harriet, who's somebody who has been such a positive force since we moved here into this town, and Woodland Park, which is this unique, it's unique in the town. I mean, we have Green Corner 50, 100 yards in the opposite direction with a lawn and flowers and a gazebo. Across the street, you've got the other property where the painters and sculptors used to be, that's now a lovely lawn with benches and flowers and things. Down the street, you've got Depot Garden, benches, flowers, and arbor. Go all the way down to Trade, you've got Nina Simone Plaza. The other way, you've got Park on Trade. We have all of these urban green spaces. We have one Woodland Park, and it's natural trees. It's a wildlife corridor with bears and deer and coyotes and foxes, and also raccoons.
Bobcat.
Bobcat. Yeah, just about everything. It's a unique park, and it's not, we've got a lot of these little parks that are wonderful, but this is the only one of these that we have in town. I mean, in the center of town, of course, there's Water Creek, which is, wonderful as well.
Alan?
Yes.
I know that the sunflowers are a big part of this. And I don't know if you know this, but I had a two-woman business when I lived in New York, putting in gardens for people. And I want to honor your intention of having this be something that is Harriet. And is there something to prevent it from going into a place that's really sunny and open, like Harmon Field or some other big field where the sunflowers will flourish? There are all sorts of fun things we could do with sunflowers. You can create like whole sunflower, like rooms that children can go inside of. Like you could, you could put the gazebo and surround it with like walls or mazes of sunflowers. There's just like lots of options there. And I would be happy to work with you on that. I think it would be a whole lot of fun. I worry that with the bamboo, the deer, and the shade, it's not going to be what you want it to be.
Well, I considered that, which is why I brought my daughter-in-law up here, who is retired assistant director of the greenhouse at UNC Charlotte.
Right.
And she picked a place and she goes, and it was inside X feet. And she said, look at the trees, look at where the leaves are, and we'll grow here, which is why the yellow was in that little drawing where it was, because she said in that general area is where sunflowers grow, not anywhere else.
Well, Mark, did you say you couldn't grow? What were you having trouble growing back there?
Arborvitaes, because,
And they're shade loving.
yeah, they tend to be spindly and tall because they're not getting enough sun back there. Usually there's about 3 hours of sun in certain parks in the summer. But once again, we all want this to happen for Harriet. But I think that this location, while we have good intentions with Bob Brown, I don't think he would care one way or the other. But if you wanted to do a gazebo, let's put it somewhere where it's visible, not in, next to him, next to Chick. I mean, it's really in our space. And that's all we're asking, that you consider if you were in our position, in our shoes, how you would react.
Well, who lives in the last house on the left? In Gateway.
The last house on the left, that's John Wilson.
John Wilson.
Yeah, John Wilson. Well, he's,
He's going to speak to it.
he came over and talked with me either Saturday or Sunday. And his concern was the parking. That was the only concern he brought, was where people were gonna park if they came there.
Well, that's really the only close neighbor. The other one is down the street,
No, there's-
and down the street, and then there's Margaret's
And
house.
once you go around that circle in Galax, Bill, there's 3 houses
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Or if you count the little ones.
there.
yeah.
So, and
There's
there's, and
two on the
they're
left,
pretty
one on the
close,
right.
and there's not great parking as it is.
Whether anything is done one way or the other with that, as I said, 4 of you will decide. The fact is that our property still comes and touches their property as part of the park.
Yeah.
The only thing I can see, if you really want to do away with things, is put a fence back, whole pack of it, and to keep out the undesirables. That,
Nobody's trying to keep out undesirables,
Because we don't have any ends there.
that's not what it's about. I didn't do a lot of research. All I did was drive around the circle and think that I would not want it
Yes.
if I lived on that circle. I mean, that's what I told you.
no, I understood.
One of the things I'd like to mention here is that that circle is so tight that the city trucks that come to pick up our trash have knocked down my wall 3 times because they can't make the turn.
Now, it's an one-lane road.
Yeah, and now, anything bigger than a pickup truck has difficulty getting around that turn. And you're gonna put parking in there, limit the turn even more?
Is
I
the set,
think Bill probably had the correct answer. Set this aside, let everybody visit it,
All right,
and put it back on the agenda, the next meeting.
Yep.
See where it goes. Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
My name's Ellen Reichenbach, I'm fairly new to Tryon. But to me, something like this should involve a master plan for the park. And I don't see that that's been done.
Well, we don't have anybody running the master plan. I mean,
Well,
we
don't you
need,
have a park commission?
no,
Yeah, I think you
do we do?
Yeah.
Do they do anything? Do they meet?
do.
Besides John?
I'm sure you could recruit more members.
I do it. And I'm all for this expansion, because that's what I wanted when I talked to Bob Brown. I asked him that it would be an expansion of Woodland Park. But, you know, what we want is some input and to work together, because all our properties are gonna be impacted on this. And I urge y'all to come out and see where it is, because it's not the most opportune place. I mean, if we did like a little seating area at Galax, it's kind of a resting point for a trail, and then continue the trail down farther. But please, I don't want it on my property. I mean, what if I'm out there naked or something? Or having some wild try-on party, and, you know, people come walking by.
Okay. I'm sorry, did you give your name to her?
Ellen Reichenbach.
Yes, ma'am.
My connections here are still developing, but I have heard from more than one group of people, none of them are here tonight, that there is a plan to connect this trail to go over to Melrose so that it can be accessed from Melrose.
Yes, ma'am, I just went over that a few minutes ago.
Okay,
That's
sorry, I
the
was
one I
late.
was talking
But
about.
that's why I think there really needs to be more discussion of the master plan. So it's done in a way that it's safe for people. It respects people's privacy. It encourages use. And I'm not sure Galax does. I mean, for one thing, you have to access Galax down Chestnut, which is a nightmare. And probably will be torn up soon, as I understand, if the town can do what it needs to do for sewer. I mean, Chestnut is not fun to drive on. And that intersection
I
of
agree.
Melrose, Chestnut, and Windcourt is a nightmare. I was almost hit there last week.
I saw some guy just run the stop sign there. It's dangerous. It happens all the time.
3 times.
Okay,
That's all.
everybody gonna go look at it, put it back on the agenda next month?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Sure, these folks that live around there would be glad to take you on a tour. So,
Absolutely.
And Harold Moss, I forgot to give my name before. Bill, I think you asked whether people minded the trail on the property. I think everyone here is enthusiastic about the idea of this property being incorporated into the trail system of the park. I mean, that's what an expansion of the park means, bringing something up through there. It's just a question of working together to find out what works for the greatest number of people. And this, some version of what you're talking about, Alan, I think would be great in some part of the park.
okay, thank you. What you got?
Nothing. You just came to see the fire
Okay. You got anything else there?
no, sir.
Okay, call this work session closed on. So, entertain motion to adjourn?
Yes.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those likewise? Motion carries. We adjourn until 7:00. Attention, please call this the March 15th Town of Pride Board of Commissioners meeting to order. For invitation this evening, I would like to have a moment of silence. And the pro tem has advised me that one of the writers for our newspaper, Leader Justice, is really severely sick. So I think that I would like to add her to our list for a moment of silence. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Pro Tem.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda adoption, I think we need to drop item 10, public park discussion. We had that in the work session and we added back to the next meeting. Budget discussion and update, we met Monday night
Yes, sir.
and very little to add to that. So do we have any additions, deletions?
We do have additions. One, upbeat topic, TFAC would like to present a little art gallery. So what I think like that is.
Make that 10, feedback.
We do have to do a motion to purchase the fire engine. You want that 10A?
Make it 11.
11 it is. We are going to have the rezoning recommendation regarding the Caps Road property packet that Tim has given you. What item would you like that as?
Can we make that part of 12B, make it 12B?
12B it is. Then I have state revolving loan fund resolution paperwork regarding the $2.2 million state revolving loan.
Can we put that in the manager's report? and go on
Manager
from there?
report it is. I'll do that, and then we have to go into closed session for 143-318, 11A3.
Okay, let's make that 16B closed session.
Okay.
Any other additions, deletions, corrections? Chair will entertain a motion to adopt with changes. All in favor, aye? Opposed likewise, motion carries. Consent agenda. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Chair will entertain a motion to adopt. All in favor, aye? Opposed likewise, motion carries. Item 6, golf cart.
I'm gonna throw this to Chief Arrowood, ordinance regulating use of golf carts on the trunk.
So, basically about a little over a year ago, we repealed our golf course ordinance with the thinking that, people could get get their golf carts registered to the state. After a year of questioning DMV, other agencies, it's not as simple as that. Not as simple as I thought it was going to be. You have to have a golf cart from one dealer who is down east, he is the only person that you can get one that can be registered. And the going price is around $8,000 a golf cart. So for the town of Tron, I think we need to at least have something on the book. We'll go back to our old golf cart ordinance and, where people will be able to legally drive on the road. During this year, many of the owners of golf carts have tried different ways, trying to get a golf cart registered through DMV, it's just not working. And so, but we do need something on the books, or we can say there's no golf carts being driven on the road. We did make a couple of changes from the last ordinance to this ordinance. They will only need to have their basic, rear view mirror, seat belts, some kind of sign on the back, and no inspection. Brake lights, all the lights, and then if you drive at night, you have to have headlights and stuff like that. And this ordinance, the new one, would also allow you to drive on any road that's 35 mile an hour. So any road in town. And that's what state law also allows, is any road that's 35. So, but I do feel we need to have something on the books for this.
Agree. So we just need to take a motion to adopt this ordinance, correct?
That's your pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good idea.
It works.
Right.
And you'll still have to be permitted through the town, you'll still have to get a permit, and you'll have to show liability insurance, you'll have to show ownership, stuff like that. So it's not just go drive, I mean, there will be some type of permitting process.
Good.
All right.
I have a question, because I hear we all have several. So y'all is permitting all of this stuff, where you put it? Is there like a building part somewhere?
Sticker on the thing.
Oh, it's a window sticker.
Okay. I'm thinking more than things.
Sarah, will entertain a motion to adopt?
Well, I'll make that one.
Yes.
We don't need to have any type of public hearing tonight on this, do we?
This one doesn't require public hearing. It does not require public hearing.
Okay, all in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries, chief. Item 7,
Item 7 is the ordinance prepared by Chief Walton to correct some issues with the old fire burn ordinance. Just Chief Walton, would you like to express anything other than the main changes? There's an exception, allow a person to have a recreational fire with an approved fire pit. It goes on to describe the approved fire pit, say what you can and cannot burn in it, correcting some vague language.
I can't burn old tires in it?
No more.
The road lines we also took out in the old ordinance, you could apply for a burn permit, anyone could, we've changed that to where special circumstances would come to y'all and say, hey, we've cleared out something, can we go ahead? But other than that, we've taken that out as well, clear that up, out some of the confusion in the community.
question? Sarah, will entertain a motion to adopt?
Somebody else say.
All in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 8,
Resolution authorizing exchange of personal property with Columbus Fire Department. This describes the property that you saw earlier. Basically, this resolution, we state that we believe our truck was worth $65,000 and we believe theirs is worth $85,000 and we would like to exchange.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Make that motion.
Very
make
good.
that motion.
Correct.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries.
Perfect, thank you.
Item 9,
This is alcohol ordinance. What we are proposing with future businesses in Tryon, as well as the success of downtown, we would like to take the consumption of malt beverages unfortified line on the sidewalks to the highlighted areas, which are Packlet Street between Trade Street and Walnut Street, which is essentially the curve. And then Maple Streets between Trade and Palmer, and Oak Street between Trade and Palmer. So the two side roads that go down basically Harper's sidewalk. Just extending that along.
So that you can walk down and get into your car without being arrested. Shall we entertain a motion to adopt?
I make a motion.
All those in favor, aye. Those likewise, motion carries. Item 10, TFAC. Zach?
Do we have T-Fac here? Y'all T-Fac?
Yeah.
If you stand up, could you name and, address for the clerk, please?
Monica Stevenson, 565 Kingrake Road, Triumph. And Jessica Pierce, 355 Winterset Trail, Triumph. We have an item to demonstrate, I mean, not just, we have things to, should we bring it up or just, how would you like to see it?
Bring it up so we can see it.
Bring it on up.
Just the floor.
Show and tell. My name is Monica, this is Jessica, we're on the board of directors at the Triumph Fine Arts Center, and we're heading up the exhibits committee, and we would like to explore the installation of this, which is a little free art gallery on Trade Street. We were inspired, a friend of mine is an artist out west, and these have been a great success for the neighborhood and community out there. The idea, and if you all are not familiar with the concept, it's very similar to the little libraries, which is where we filled with art, miniature art. You take a piece of art out and you put a piece of art in. And then it fosters, I mean, as you can all imagine, it is interactive, it fosters appreciation for art. And a little QR code, which will lead people to the TFAC website, and there you go.
And the colors are in line with the like Preservation Society, it's all been cleared, and we're looking at Billy McFarland, we approached him, and he's on board with putting it on the brick facing. And, since it's in that section of the neighborhood that's kind of more arts directed, we thought that would be a good position for it.
So on the, by the theater, by the Triumph Theater.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Suzanne Hogan a part of this because she's presented the same thing to the town sometime last year?
I'm afraid I don't
You
know.
don't know
her
Suzanne
notes.
Hogan?
Was she just presenting it on her own, or was she in affiliation with somebody?
I don't remember who she was with, but
Yeah,
she wasn't by herself.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we haven't heard back.
Haven't heard back from her.
But it was an idea very similar. I thought it was the same.
We actually, most of us thought that you were coming in her place and actually had one ready and brought it here because she came earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, and she brought hers, or it was an
No,
idea?
She just had
She
the
had
idea.
that idea.
We thought she brought the idea, and you guys brought the real deal.
We brought the real deal, and it's ready to go.
Well, let's put it out.
So you're gonna bolt this to Billy's wall?
We are, yeah, and we've chatted with him, and he's kind of approved it, and he even has some artwork in his office that is, I believe, a little bit of art. So I'm gonna photograph the artwork and miniaturize it, and then his artwork will be the first in it, kind of in gratitude to him.
Very good.
Sticking it out, I mean, it's gonna be hanging out on the sidewalk, but I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
It's no deeper than, there's a UPS depository.
Oh, okay.
And it's shallower than that, so,
As long as we have 54 inches, we're fine.
Pardon?
As long as we have 54 inches,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
be fine.
I think we're okay then. So that's, I won't take more of your time, I know you've got a full schedule.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing
We
this.
look forward to it.
Me too. Thank you.
Okay, item 11, fire engine purchase. Zach?
So the discussion from last month, you did make a decision on which engine to purchase. William has went through and compared all of the, RFPs. Pierce was responsible bidder on that.
Responsive.
Or
Check all the boxes.
Checked all the
The others
boxes.
did.
So,
That's just the board with the.
Validate those payments.
yeah. So if you want to just go ahead and make a motion to accept the Pierce, we can go ahead and get everything started.
We have a motion, all in favor, aye? All opposed likewise, motion carries. Item 12, minimum housing.
So Tim has minimum housing 160D and Tim 12B is gonna be your thing, so if you want to just roll through.
Okay. And that's a public hearing too.
For the rezoning,
Yeah.
just you gotta open that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
It was advertised a public hearing, so we need to see if anyone's here to speak on it. At the appropriate time.
Yes, so minimum housing, Kennedy Lane, the owner has informed me that they have made arrangements to have it cleaned up, on their own sometime around the end of March, beginning of April, so hopefully the town will not have to get involved with that, and it'll be cleaned up soon. 144 and 136 Cleveland and 161 Peak, requests have been made for, to get in there and, get some, minimum housing inspections done. If no arrangements are made, I can do an administrative inspection, and we can get in there and start checking off the checklist and everything, so.
Where's the one be?
161, the log cabin looking place. And that's all I have for that. So, does he need to open the?
Yeah, just.
Is there, if you want to open the public hearing.
Yes, it comes to public hearing, and then you can tell us what you're talking about, and then it'll be open to those of you who have a comment or question.
Okay. So on February 20th, I received an application to rezone 282 Caps Road. Currently, it is now Industrial 1, and the applicant would like to change it to Residential 3. We had a meeting last Thursday with the Board of Adjustment, and they unanimously voted yes in favor of recommending to you that we pass this rezoning.
Yeah, this house there, isn't it?
Right, but it's, that whole strip across, along the river is zone industrial, and you're not,
It makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
Where Thompson and Daughter's house? That's those big lots down at the other far end. I had no idea that was all industrial.
I thought most of it was, but I really didn't know all of it.
Anybody want to speak on that?
Public comment, questions,
I'll say something real quick.
please identify yourself for the record.
Laura Laker, 1426 Hayes Road, Columbus. I represent the people that are buying the property, and they are, unfortunately, with it being industrial, they can't live in it. And that's the purpose for them buying it. There are two houses on either side. It's not going to affect the neighborhood. It's just, something they need to do. And also for the seller, with it being industrial, because it can no longer be the daycare that was grandfathered in, it basically makes her property unsellable. So we would like to see this go through.
Anyone else? Close the public hearing, unless you have something else.
If you put in the form of motion.
We need a motion.
There's an ordinance. Right?
yeah, the last page.
Ordinance is here somewhere. Thank you for shortening.
Yes.
That contains the necessary finding that it's reasonable in the public interest and in keeping with any officially adopted plans, which includes the zoning ordinance. So just a motion to adopt that ordinance in your hand covers all the bases.
Motion to adopt.
I'll leave it. Yeah, either one of the bills.
One of those bills.
Pick a bill, anything.
Anything you need to add to this week? Okay, Chair, I'll take a motion, yes, pass now, all in favor, aye? Vote likewise, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Jim,
Yeah,
cover you.
Yeah, you just gotta sign it.
Item 13,
TDDA update, I'll invite Ms. Henderson in here.
Good evening, friends. You have my normal report attached to your agenda, but we've got a lot going on this spring. Y'all know the Airstream rally is coming at the end of the month. We're really excited about that. Everything's really coming together. That actually filled up, I think, within like the first week that they opened registration. So there are a lot of people who are really excited to come to trial for that. So that's going to be great. We're working with the merchants and the restaurants downtown to make sure that they're aware and they're well staffed when those people come to join us, because they're going to be camping out in the downtown for the whole weekend. So they're going to eat and shop, and we're really grateful for the opportunity. Hopefully going to be moving forward really soon with some railing downtown. We're going to be working with Bill. We're really excited about that. And Fridays are back. We're just back in the swing of things. So
You got a parade on Thursday.
yeah, so Chief Airwood has been working with them on getting everything squared away, but I think we just talked with her today. So yeah, they're good to go. We're gonna be starting at Rogers Park and going up to Harper's, I believe, and have like maybe a little musical celebration at the end out there, sort of near Cafe Legal. They might have they have a bagpiper and a couple other things, but it's really festive. We're excited. It might be a cool thing to continue on next year. So, yeah, a lot of cool stuff. You guys let me know if you've got questions.
like when you bring people with money to spend.
Yeah.
Item 13, manager's report.
Okay, so my main thing tonight, you have in front of you this packet. The first page is going to be a resolution by the town approving the state revolving loan offer of roughly $2.2 million. I'll get more into that in a minute. It also includes the offer letter. It includes the funding offer and acceptance paperwork, the assurances paperwork, the federal ID, DUNS, the request memo, sales tax reimbursement certification regarding uniform relocation assistance for real property, and that's it. But basically, for those that are unaware, the town is taking out a $2.2 million loan. We've been successful in getting $1 million of that in loan forgiveness. This is to repair the Graywick line, as well as other lines that feed into it and that it feeds into. And basically what has occurred is we have been offered to turn the remaining 1.2 million into a grant as well. So the whole project should be free. This paperwork is for the loan itself. Now they told me, you don't have to do this, just do the grant paperwork, but we're gonna do this anyway, just in case, because I don't want anything screwed. So we do this. This says that we agree to pay the loan back. Withers and Ravenel is working on the finalization of the other paperwork. We will submit that before April 1st. And then that should turn the remaining loan into another grant. So the $2.2 million project is free.
So we already have roughly half of it.
Correct. We've got half of it free already, but we were originally going to use ARPA funding to pay for the rest of it to keep the burdens of citizens low, but now it's going to be free. So we'll work on that. But I do need this resolution approved as well as everything else in this package, just in case.
Let me ask you a question before we get that. How long ago did you start a CIP?
Sorry.
3 years?
I was thinking 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
2 or 3 years, and this is how fast the state runs. We've got that, we've applied for everything, and we're told we're gonna get this, this, or this. How much money in checks have you actually gotten?
From the state?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Zero, and we're still waiting, it'll get here. But that's why things are so slow when it comes from the state, because they've got, for lack of a better word, they've got 1,000 boxes to check, and then after they check that 1,000, then we have 1,000 boxes to check, and then it goes back and they check our checks. Now, that sounds ridiculous, but it's sort of the way it happens, because it's tax dollars that come there. Okay, that being said, Chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
Make a motion.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, likewise? Motion carries.
Thank you. As far as my report, I will keep it very short. I do want to thank basically everyone, but Jody and his crews have been extremely busy with water break after water break after water break. For those who don't know, in the month of February, what was it, 17, 18 breaks? 17 breaks, which they've never seen before. This is, again, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, weekend, stuff like that. Those guys are working very hard. Chief Walton, the fire department, they worked their tails off this weekend. They work their tails off every weekend, but this one, they did have 20 trees in one day because of the winds. Jeff and Randall are doing very well. Jeff is keeping things in line, and he's really kind of helping us figure out the future of everything else. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Paige. That's it.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions for me.
Jake, can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jake, would you stand up, please? I don't know what you had to do with this, but I know you're in Raleigh, so you had something to do with it. So from the corner of us in Crown, thank you. This is Representative Jake Johnson from Polk County. Thank you, sir.
And did you want to say anything, Representative Johnson? I know we're going to put you on the agenda, but I can see you right here.
So I had a little legislative update, but you guys get done whatever you need to get done and bring me in whenever you're ready.
We're ready.
We're ready. Then you tell me where to stand.
Feel free to take anywhere you want.
How about this? I'll kind of turn this way so I'm talking to both. Well, I'll start out by saying we just finished up the longest loan session in North Carolina history. That's never a record you want to set. But at the end of it, we did come out with the first budget we've been able to pass in the governor's sign since 2018. So that's huge. And what you're talking about, these things coming down the pipeline, is because of that. So for those of you who don't know, in North Carolina, if we don't pass a budget, it's not like DC where everything screeches to a halt. You do have the budget from the previous year, almost like a continuing resolution kick in. But what that leaves is nobody gets raises, these projects don't get funded, and things just kind of really come to a slow. So I just want to give a brief legislative update. I met many of you when I was a county commissioner here for 3 years prior, and have been up in Raleigh since 2019. We've been able to actually get a lot of good things accomplished for Polk County and Tryon, and we'll touch on those specifically in a second. But I just wanted to touch on our total budget was around $25.9 billion. That's a 4.3% increase since the last time we had a signed budget, but it'll get bumped up to $27 billion between this year and next year. What we've seen is a lot of these federal funds coming down that, we know these are tax dollars too at the end of the day. And whether we agree with them being sent down at all, we do know that we want to supplement this good one-time funding so that we can return more of your tax dollars and spend them responsibly in our normal state budget. So I just wanted to touch on one thing that when I went up there, probably the most common thing I heard was broadband. That was what, the most common thing they said, if you don't want to, if one thing gets done while you're there, make sure our kids get internet back in the rural areas. I'm proud to say that was something that we are extremely successful in doing, I think by every metric so far. The past investment was $150 million over 10 years. 15 million is a lot of money, but statewide, it's not even a drop in the bucket to what we need to get to these rural areas. This year, we did a $1 billion investment. That's going to be huge, and that's the committee I chaired, was IT appropriations. So that's what we did, was focus on that. We also put a provision in there that would allow tier 3 counties, which last year Polk County was a tier 3, to be able to apply for that money. So the conversations we've been having with the major providers in the area, the county, to try to get broadband ran to rural areas that need it. So on the outskirts of the township where internet is, unreliable at best, we're going to try to get that fixed and get some good internet service coming. We don't think our kids should be having to drive to McDonald's to turn in their homework. A little bit on the finance piece. We're going to one of the big priorities we have with the state, frankly, doing really well over the past couple of years. People are moving to North Carolina. They want to be here. So we were able to cut the income tax from 5.25% to 3.99% over 6 years. Move the standard deduction up to 25.5 for couples filing jointly. Increase the child deduction by 500 and expand eligibility. Eliminate the tax on military pension. Starting in 2025, we're going to phase out the corporate tax. That was something to keep us competitive with other states in the Southeast. Redo the franchise tax to help out small businesses and make sure businesses can deduct their expenses from those PPP loans. We were one of the last states in the country to get that aligned, so to keep us competitive again. And then I'm sure, I don't know if the money's hit the account yet, but it's on the way. We got a direct appropriation to Tron of $425,000, so we're really excited about that. And then $6.5 million for the dam in Polk County that, frankly, whether or not you live near it or not, it's a county asset that's gonna have to be paid for, and every Polk County resident was gonna get hit with a tax, unless we could get some of this one-time money, which we did. So as we keep taxes down that way. And I just wanted to thank your town manager here. He did a great job keeping us informed of what you guys needed, so that we can help get that at the state. And we're gonna keep doing that. I just looked, when they were speaking, it actually reminded me, the Arts Council, we got them 15 million in the budget, so that'll go to help things like the Tron Fine Arts Center that be recouped what they lost during the budget. So I'm happy to stand for any questions. That's a 30,000 foot view of a very, very long document that changed many, many times. Yep. Any questions from the council? I just want to thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for letting me be here, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
I don't know that anyone has it, they will.
Oh, in any audience, I'm happy to
And
answer
I'd like to
anything.
say thank you. Tony Waller, who ran here in the late 60s and 70s, just got appointed or actually elected to the North Carolina Track and Field and Cross Country Hall of Fame. I was invited to go receive the award in his honor, but I couldn't go, so I called Representative Johnson and he went and took that. So thank you for doing that and representing Polk County very much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. And if you ever need anything, we want to be accessible and transparent. Reach out, call, text, email me anytime. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Council Mayor, tonight, Bill Kroll, Bill Ingram, Terrell, and me.
Well, I have little to nothing to, I do want to thank the staff and everything they're doing. I like the changes and everything that's going on with the staff. So thank you, Jody, thank you, Peg, Chief. Anyway, that's it.
Well, I want to thank all the staff. I like seeing the crowd there are many nights where we have one person out there, John. So it's nice to see everybody here. I thought I had it in my folder, a letter from Dave Doss about some help that was given to him by the, Public Works. They had a blockage anyway. He was just thanking the town and the employees for doing such a fabulous job. And I'd like to do the same thing. So that's it.
I just like to reiterate what everyone else said. And, everybody just take care of yourselves and, like I say, hold it through.
Take care of each other.
Don't have a lot to add to that. Thank you. And I still say, best place I've ever lived is here. And apparently a lot of you think the same thing. So that being said, citizen comment responsive, if you'd like to say something, please stand up, say your name for the record, and then speak.
John Wilson, 35 Gallic Circle. Myself and the residents of Gallic Circle and the surrounding residents whose property is affected by the proposed gazebo and garden path are opposed to the location and are asking the town to reconsider the location of the proposed gazebo and garden. By a show of hands, is that an accurate decision for all of us residents? We are not against the process, we're not against the memorial part of it, but we are against the gazebo and garden location. We want to support it as much as we can, but not the location. It is our understanding that this area was donated to further grow Woodland Park and to preserve its natural beauty of the town of Tryon. Placing a gazebo garden in an area known for sewage leakage is fiscally and environmentally irresponsible. As taxpaying citizens of Tryon, we would like to see a clear plan on where our tax dollars are spent. Part of this project is a donation. The bulk, I'm sure, will come from our tax dollars, especially when it comes to the upkeep. Woodland's tax dollars go further by enhancing the current Woodland Park entrance. There is a level area in the existing Woodland Park entrance that will give more space for parking and a gazebo. Often the comment is made we don't anticipate a whole lot of traffic there. Then why build it? When a new project is discussed, there should be a community involvement from the beginning, before plans have been drawn up and gazebo construction has been started. Not once was it ever discussed with the actual residents of Gallup Circle, the ones that will be most affected by this project. No letter in the mail, no dropping by our house, no meeting of the residents to discuss how this will affect their properties. Nothing. The lack of respect by elected officials to the town's residents is just embarrassing. Allow me to remind the council of the mission, as stated on the website of our town government. 1, creating an appealing, livable, harmonious community. Sound leadership and fiscal responsibility. Efficient delivery of high-quality services. Advocacy for community participation and involvement. Preservation of our history and protection of our natural environment. I and we encourage our elected officials to question the proposed project as if it was developed within the mission of the town and its intent. In the spirit of the park, keep it natural. Thank you.
Just so you know, John, before you got here too,
Yeah.
a lot of your neighbors expressed the same sentiment.
And it's not the location, it's the location that we're concerned about, only because we feel that there's better space to be used than just that one space.
And John, thank you for calling me
No.
and coming by. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, sir. I appreciate your help.
Others? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Nancy Gray, and I live on Lynn Court. I've just been, since we've been talking about this, been hearing a lot about the sewage that is draining in the park. And so I went online to see, on the town's website, to see if there was some report or something that is dealing with this. And I did notice that there's a 20-year plan for dealing with water and sewage on there that was developed and I suppose adopted, that's a question mark, in 2012, in April of 2012, and it dealt with the very issues that on Lincourt and Galax have dealt with, this leaky sewage. So I wonder what the status is. Are we halfway through the 20-year report? Are those issues being dealt with? And it's water, as you said, 17 water breaks in February. So it sounded like a lot of those issues were being dealt with in that report 10 years ago. And I just would like to know where I could find the status of that. Thank you.
That report was a capital improvement plan from 2012. I don't know who worked here then, but I personally don't think anything was done about that report. So we, a couple of years back, did a capital improvement plan, which we have been working on. We are striving toward fixing some of those issues. When we originally scoped it out, I mean, you're looking at, in the town of Tryon city limits alone, we probably have well over $50 million that need to be put underneath the ground that no one can see. And taxes are never an easy approach to fix things because people don't want to pay for things. So we have to take out little bits as we can, which is the way the 15-year CIP is kind of set up. One of the things we're looking at, we are looking at going after some more ARPA money, possibly up to 10 to 15 million to kind of put toward that current plan. We've been talking to the state about that. We think we're gonna be eligible, but that just all depends on if we get lucky. We do work on some of these things. We are required to, report leaks. If anyone comes and tells us, hey, sewage is leaking, we actually are required to report it to the state, which is what we do at Braywick all the time. And we get fines for that. So you can go online and track it and kind of see where we're getting fined for it. As far as reports off of Galax or Lincourt, I would have to ask Jody, but I haven't received complaints myself lately about anything out there. I mean, I received it from you with the stoppage, but your porch is built over the pipe, so we can't move your porch to fix the pipe. But we are working, that's part of the plan, is moving the entire line on Galax. But as far as everything else down in the park, I haven't received anything on that. So we have complaints and we're working on them. But, well, yeah, I've talked with Jeff about some of that stuff, but as far as anything called spilling over to me, other than those two, I haven't really had anything.
And Lincourt, it bubbles up, there's not even a clean out, it just bubbles up out of the ground. On Lincourt.
Where's on Lincourt?
In front of my house.
Yeah,
It hasn't done that for a while.
but I've been here 4 years and at least it's done it 3 to 4 times, so you put lime down and so forth too.
Yeah, and there are times where the guys handle it and I don't hear about it. You know, so there is that kind of thing, because our crews do kind of take care of some of that stuff. I mean, the issues we have with the sewer system all over town, not just Galax or Lincourt, it's pretty sad. But we have, I don't know of any projects that were done before I got here, so I can't speak to it, but there's a lot that we're having to work on. We have leaks all over town. I mean, a lot of this system's over 100 years old. So, I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of the hand we were dealt. So we have a couple of issues that we know about. Some of them are fixable, but they're gonna cost money. Some of them we're just gonna have to revamp and do a completely new line because we can't move a tree or a house or anything like that. I mean, so.
About the time, Zach, of the CIP, we contracted with someone to do smoke testing. And they pump smoke into the sewer lines. And it came up everywhere, and everywhere we could find it, we repaired that. And the next year, it was cracked somewhere else. It is outdated, it is falling apart. Actually, behind you, when you go down in the bottom, when you come out of IGA, most of that, when they fixed it, 2002 or 2003, was Orangeburg pipe. And Orangeburg pipe is basically pasteboard with tar impregnated into it, and that's it. And it had crushed and fallen in, and raw sewage run into the creek. The only way anybody found it is because we smelled it.
Well, we replaced that in our yard, that baseboard. Yes, it's gone now. It collapsed. Well, it's on the website, the town's website, that report, and if it's, maybe it'd be a good idea to take it off, means it was never adopted, but, anyhow, that's why I was asking, because.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was adopted.
Oh, it was adopted.
I'd have to look at it, but I don't think we've done any of the projects, which is why we opted to just start over. Because some of those projects on that one are so old, they're not even around anymore. So.
We weren't here.
Yeah, so we can get our new capital improvement plan kind of laid out in a more readable manner. I mean, right now it's just an engineer sheet with technical data, but we can see if we can kind of update it for, reading pleasure, but it's 15 million, I think. So, and the issues of Galax, that's on there. I don't have to look at Lincourt.
We're referring to the proposed area that actually where the gazebo and park is being built. There's cleanouts there where it regularly comes out from those cleanouts.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna put a gazebo there, and then when the repairs come along, we're gonna have to pay to have that gazebo moved so that we can repair the pipes. I'm just saying we need to think of a different location.
Right.
That's just.
Well, and I was just gonna say that one of the areas described was, it says it runs along Spanish Court. I mean, that's probably where the house across the street, they had sewage in their basement and had to have it pumped out. Probably came from that line along there. It was, I don't know, it's just, I've heard a lot of stories in this, that
We've had
a mental map as I read that, it's 162 pages, but it's pretty good reading.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Gary.
Okay, if there are no others, the chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session under which statute?
143-318.11A3.
And that's in consultation with the attorney to maintain the attorney-client privilege.
All those in favor, aye? Those opposed, let's take about a 5-minute adjournment and then we'll go into closed session.